Hey guys, what's up? Tom, Pernstar channel. Another episode of our build log on the S550. So far we have put the FDF rear suspension arms on, we've put the FDF Mantis front kit on, and we dropped the car on ISC coilovers. Well, we dropped her in the back, we didn't drop her in the front because of some clearance issues. As you can see, the arms are so extended on this kit that even with stock wheels and tires, the fitment is a little peculiar now. And even if I wanted to drive this car the way it sits, I couldn't because the tires would just start hitting the fenders and the bumper. So before we can go any further, we need to make clearance. So today is the day that my fresh little Mustang gets to meet my jigsaw and my angle grinder. Here's what we're up against. You could see in the shots from the front and the back that we have a pretty substantial amount of poke up front right now. And when you look back here, there's quite a bit of clearance towards the rear of the fender, but there is not a whole lot of anything in terms of clearance towards the front. So if we want to check the range of motion of our front suspension and figure out what size wheels to run, all this other good stuff, we need to be able to move the angle kit through its whole range of steering, and currently I can't do that. So seeing how it looks like we may not have clearance issues in the back with these caster settings, I'm going to focus on clearancing towards the front, and I'm just going to do it on the driver's side for now because that'll allow me to steer as if this was the trailing wheel and steer it in towards the front of the car. And then the other side won't have an issue because, you know, it'll be the lead wheel and the interference towards the rear of the fender will be the one we have to worry about on the other side, which from the looks of it is fine. So we'll trim one side, go through the range of motion, see where else we have interference, and then go from there. So first things first, we're going to ditch the fender liners, and these special pliers for plastic clips are real handy with all of those. Let's see how many we're up against here. I think it's quite a ton. Half of these are all messed up anyway. And Ford decided to go with quite the variety pack of these. So there's the pull apart style plantai. Like these little fuckers right here. And these are already broken, but with these pliers you can separate them nice and easy. And it beats a flat head screwdriver by a long shot. With all the clips removed, pops right out. Okay, we're inside the wheel well now, looking forward. There's the disconnected wheel speed sensor harness, and down here you'll see this assembly that's like the bezel for the fog light and the turn signal, daytime running light, whatever all stuff is down here. So we're gonna try to take all that out to get access to cutting the bumper. And there's a whole bunch of these tiny little 7mm head fasteners. We'll get rid of all those. Looks like somebody did us a favor and only put about half of them in, so that was nice. Another little guy up here that seems to be of the same flavor that appears to be holding the bumper on. Aha! Victory is mine! Okay. So the bumper is literally held on this corner with one fastener that we won't be able to use because we're going to chop this off. And one of those notoriously awful plastic clips that all these modern cars have that I absolutely can't stand. So we're going to make all that go away. So as you can see, I put some masking tape on the car and I drew a line right across the body line of the fender where it transitions from basically a vertical surface to swooping arc, and I'm planning on cutting right along that, and there is nothing obstructing in the way back here up until I get to the very end of the cut when we get to that bracket on the fender that I mentioned in the front corner. So I typically like to do these cuts not with an angle grinder. I like to actually use a jigsaw with a metal blade, and then that same jigsaw with the same blade has usually worked very well for me, also for cutting plastic, because you can set the speed to being really low, and then instead of melting the plastic bumper, it actually saws clean through it, and it makes the cleanup after nicer. And also if you heat plastic, like say you use an angle grinder or something on the plastic, like sometimes it causes some weird things with the plastic and like oil coming to the surface or whatever that makes it a pain to paint it later. So I always try to keep the temperature down on plastic parts when I cut them up. So, well, here goes nothing. So I just notched it here. And now I'm going to attempt to use pliers to fold the fender over a little bit here. And that way, it should be pretty easy to get the blade started in this cut. Bend it outwards a little. There we go. Nice. Yep, here goes the fender. It's actually funny, if you listen really closely, faint in the distance, you can hear a boomer crying about resale value right now. Oh wow. Not sure what kind of tin can sheet metal this is, but that last piece where it was attached, didn't have to cut that, it just broke clean off. That's nice. So, getting ready for the bumper. Like I said, the big difference here is we're going to turn the speed way down, and I'm going to try and see if I can cut this upside down here. As we get near done, I'm gonna chop this sucker off. Because down here there's a little bracket that holds that whole light assembly on. And I haven't decided yet whether or not I want to run that, so I don't want to cut all those brackets off. So I just got to be careful where I'm going with my cutting. There we go. Good enough. So these brackets right here, I don't like how that came out. Probably preemptively going to trim that with the angle grinder a little bit and take this nut insert out of here and just take an angle grinder to it and trim it flush. Let's do that. So you noticed when I actually cut the fender and ripped the strip of metal right off of it, I was like, oh, this is strange, this is really easy to break. So I was curious and tried to stick a magnet to it, and I didn't notice, but I guess these are made out of aluminum. Fender's clearance cut, bumper's clearance cut, lip is clearance cut. So time to put a wheel on it and see what our initial range of motion analysis tells us. See how screwed we are with our clearances. So the point of this exercise was to get clearance for our wheel, and we achieved that. It's no longer hitting, there's plenty of clearance. And I wanted to have a little room to spare because I'm already anticipating that these wheel specs aren't going to be cutting it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go to a more aggressive offset. And I'll show you why over here in a second. So let me just get the car to full lock again. Just take the camera for a quick stroll to show you guys something. Ta 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 ta. What's up, Josh? Say hi. No, he won't. Alright. There you go. So that's a little bit of angle right there. Currently, like I said, nothing's aligned yet. But the way the car sits, it's set up for positive Ackerman. So it has toe out dynamically. And what I can tell you right now is with these factory wheels, we're actually having interference with the lower control arm in the current configuration. Right back there near the sway bar end link, the tire is touching. So we'd want the wheel to sit out further. And probably gonna have to look at a spacer. And you saw how much the car already poked. So cutting for clearance was definitely the move. And currently, like I said, it's not aligned yet. The specs are not final, but I can already tell that with the Ackerman plates I currently have on the car, that it's a positive Ackerman geometry. So I'm going to be putting the Ackerman plates on different when the time comes to do an alignment. Now, I'll just try to set the car down with it at lock just to see what the fender clearance looks like, and I'll show you that. Also, I absolutely cannot stand the Ford factory issue lug nuts. So I got me some nice extended tuner lug nuts, except for they are just standard issue Chevy Silverado lug nuts that I happen to like a lot better, and they share the same thread. Just figured I'd share that little tidbit of information. Alright, so this is the car sitting under its own weight currently. As you can see, we got a little bit of angle going there. Lighting in here is tricky, but you get the idea. That's a good shot where you can see all the parts and the way the tire sits. I like to think that that's pretty cool. Nice. And here we have the cut up side. And as you can see on the cut up side, we've got lots of clearance now. So we'll be able to actually lower the car quite a bit, which I think will come out looking pretty cool. I realized that it may look like I got a little nutty on the cuts, but here's the other side before pulling the fender liner. Just wanted to show you this. It's can literally move the wheel that much and it's starting to tear the fascia off. And bear in mind, that's on the lift. With the car on the ground, it'd be even worse. So yeah, cutting this stuff up is definitely the right thing to do, at least with the settings I'm trying to run. After a successful cutting session, we now have all the clearance in the world, and now on our next visit we can actually focus on getting the kit dialed and the suspension set up so that the car doesn't sit like a monster truck.